Is there a bit of tree on my sofa?
Right, hello Tallie.
Hello there, Josephine.
We're here for episode 2 of that podcast thing. Did you ever think we'd make it to 2 episodes, Tallie?
No, I didn't. After Luke's comment of I'm surprised, or he thought I was surprisingly articulate, I am here to prove him wrong. So...
Big up Luke.
Yeah, big up the Luke.
So with this episode, I'm going to combine a couple of segments.
Yeah, including some that we're going to film in the future, but definitely not the past. No, hang on. Yes, that's correct. That was correct foreshadowing. We definitely didn't travel all the way up to somewhere about 3 weeks ago and then record them and then come back here and stood in my room recording this intro very hastily before my food is prepared. Our food is prepared. Definitely none of that is true. No, we're going to be very professional with this and...
Just be professional.
Yeah, be professional and record it properly. So yeah, in this episode, it's a bit of a mishmash.
There's a segment where we talk about random shit on a river.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I'm just going to swear now because...
Lost the other bit of footage. We recorded 20 minutes of intro.
It was 14 minutes.
Okay, 14 minutes. And it deleted, so...
And I can't be bothered to bleep, and I swear a lot, and
Yeah.
I feel that better portrays me because I have a
Do you
distaste.
swear a lot? I'm like a bloody swearing machine if I can't control it, if I can not control it.
Yeah, and we yeah. So yeah, standards.
Yeah, right. Okay, basically, a bit I was originally talking about. It's a bit of a mismatch. We've got part where we talk about random stuff, and part of where we talk about a film Joe introduced me to called Her, which...
I in turn was introduced to by Luke. Big up, Luke!
Oh, big old Lukey boy. Leukemia? Jesus Christ. I'm going to hell. For you didn't already know, I am in fact going
Right,
to hell.
yeah. So why were we not here when I say that, but this is different to where we recorded last time.
Yeah.
Purely because you couldn't be bothered to get the train.
Yeah.
Why are we here? Why were we not here? And when we recorded those other 2 segments, where were we?
We were in
Oh, I got a Snapchat.
in a place called Otford. Well, no, we were in a place called Kensing, staying at my aunt's, house sitting for her.
Big up Tallie's aunt.
But then, yeah, big up Auntie Carrie. I'm sure I'm giving away too much information here. Somebody's going to just use this to blackmail me in the future when I make it big. Yeah, we were staying there. We went to various other places, London, Chinatown, all sorts. Stevenage, that was an exciting trip.
Why did we go to Stevenage, Tallie?
Because in the morning I happened to just ask Joe out of just general curiosity where do trains go through the fastest, because I like it when trains go through fast because it's bloody terrifying. And Joe went, Stevenage, and then went, we could go there if you want, which I just thought he was joking, but sure enough, he was like, should we just go along to Stevenage?
And I didn't just say Stevenage, I did give a detailed answer of trying to triangulate where trains would go at 125 miles an hour through a station.
So yeah, we went up
Stevenage was
there,
easiest.
but as I say, we talked about all of this in a intro, but as that deleted, I'm sure we'll talk about it, but probably another time when I can bother to try and talk about it over again for a second time.
Why don't? Yeah. Okay.
On a whole train based one, because we got to mix things up. We've got a whole. Well,
I'm sure we'll talk about trains before
as I
then.
say, hopefully we're gonna have a nice general fan base. So hopefully those who like trains, who come from Joe's other videos, will be listening to
My
this.
other videos.
Well, I mean, I know you do on YouTube. You do your train stuff.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, we're going to have one dedicated solely for that, because otherwise, for those who don't like trains necessarily, with as much passion as you have for trains.
Who doesn't like trains?
A lot of people. Sure, I like travelling on them because, hey, I like transport, but I wouldn't personally do some of the things that you do with trains.
Or like freight hop across Canada.
I would do that, but that's because, hey, it's illegal, so... yeah.
Also, the same reason he does weed.
I don't do weed, that's the thing. I'm just going to clarify that before anyone
Probably one of
listens.
my few friends who doesn't.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Oh, you know the people I'm in. Nothing with anyone.
But yeah, no. Oh yeah, well yeah, no.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that, people who are involved. You know who you are. And I cry at night every night because I don't know where this is going off. It's going off in another tangent. But yeah, that's hopefully this is. I'm kind of inadvertently discussing future plans for this podcast. Where
After you said last week that you would talk about abandoned buildings, and then you said no, we'll do it this week. I say this week.
We will do this next podcast. We will talk about abandoned buildings. I will actually get like a fair old chunk on it. However, when I next week go, what am I supposed to be talking about next week? Please remind me that I said I'd talk about abandoned buildings.
Oh,
Joe,
I won't.
that's a message to Joe. I don't want everyone just spamming my social media with everyone. How many watches did we get?
Well, we on my YouTube version, we got 15 people.
15
And
people.
then on here on the non-video version, the normal version, I think we're into the 20s.
Wow! So that totals a whole 35 people.
That means that we are only 9,975 listeners away from getting sponsored.
Oh yeah, we can make that up in a couple weeks. Like literally, if I just do something like I don't know, film a dead body in Japan, # Jake Paul style, I'm sure that we can get the notoriety. As long as I go, I'm sorry, I mucked up. The next video, I'm sure everything will be excused because that's how YouTube works nowadays. But anyway, yes. So hopefully in the future we'll have dedicated ones for sort of dedicated fans, as well as the broad range of random stuff.
No, because we won't, because I don't have that much time.
Nor do I. But I mean, hey, we managed to somehow meet up today and.
Oh, meeting up with you. You're one of the hardest people to meet up.
Yeah, I mean, I try and keep a social life alive with juggling work and trying to sleep and trying to stay up and actually like watch YouTube, which is one of the things I do, and try and do all the other things.
Do you do your college work? No, I don't think so.
Well, I haven't been given any. Actually, I suppose I could have revised, but hey. Well, results day next week. That's going to be great fun.
Do you have to go to that as a BTEC student?
Yeah. I have to go and pick up. Well, I assume I do. I mean, it doesn't exactly say anything, but then I haven't heard any news contrary to that. So I'm assuming I'm going. I mean, everyone else is going, so I'll just go along. And why is there a piece of wood on the floor?
Oh gosh, not this again.
It's going to go well with the intro. There we go. Yeah. So I think that sums up the intro. The very hastily made intro.
Do you want to tell your story about the Chinatown drink? Because that was funny.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'll tell that briefly. So basically, we sat on the train back, and
we were on the train.
Yeah,
hold your amazement.
Yeah, on the way back from Kemsing back to Bexhill, well, respectively Joe Eastbourne and whatnot. But
I don't live in Eastbourne.
I'm sorry. Pevensey and Weston.
There's two places.
Langley. I was trying to make you sound a little bit more like that. I'm joking. I like Langley. Please don't shout me Langley. The entirety of Langley.
Not Langley. King's Langley is the only place with the word Langley in it that I know of, and that's up on like the West Coast main line.
Okay, brilliant.
North of London. Langley is where I live, roughly.
But anyway, yeah. So during our trip up to Chinatown, I bought this soda, and hang on, I'll go get the bottle. Joe, entertain them for 2 ticks while I find the bottle.
Tallie has now left the recording booth to find a bottle. Tallie has been a very naughty boy lately.
Huh?
He will tell you about one of his naughty escapades when he returns, which he has done.
So yeah, right. I have the offending bottle here, and when I was in the shop, I saw it and I noticed it because it had such a weird shape. It's sort of bottle shape at the bottom, and then it's glass as well, so it's compressed right in. It's sort of got these sort of ribs on it, and then it goes back out to sort of normal bottle shape. And on one side of this normal bottle shape, it has these two little dimples, basically. inverted dimples, and then the top is made of plastic and has this sort of weird little pink plastic bit on it. And the top became wrapped in this plastic with a lot of Chinese words on it. Well, actually in Chinese, might be Japanese, but I can't really tell, I'm afraid.
Let me see.
So when I was on the train, I decided, okay, I'll save it for the train ride back because, hey, I thought that'd be quite nice.
That is Japanese.
Oh, is it? Okay. Thank you. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the name because I can't read. I mean, so I can't read Japanese, but yeah. Anyway,
he just can't read altogether.
No. And so I unwrapped the top, and this pink bit of plastic fell out, and I just thought, okay, that must be the top. So I went to take a swig, and nothing came out, and I was like, what? Why has nothing come out? So I looked down into the bottle, and there was this blue marble in it, and I was sort of thinking, why is there a marble in it? And so I then read the little bit that I ripped off, and the bit of plastic I was supposed to use that fell out, which I assume was the lid. You have to take another little ring of plastic off and then push this plastic bit in, and it pushes the marble down and allows you to drink. So obviously this is a brilliant design, because the more pressurised the bottle gets, the more sealed it is. Absolutely awesome design when you think about it. However, in concept, a twist lid bottle allows you to slowly decompress the liquid within. However, this way, it's essentially explosive decompression, and it's quite spectacular. So I got this little bit of plastic, and I pushed my finger down onto it, and nothing happened. It didn't budge at all, so it was obviously shaken up well. I mean, it spent a while in my bag, and obviously being shipped over from wherever it was shipped over from, it must have got shaken around a bit. And so I pushed down a bit harder, still nothing happened. So then I just decided I'd slam it with my hand. I slammed my hand down on the top, pushed the marble out, and obviously where I'm still pushing down on this bit of plastic, the liquid inside is coming spurting out, and obviously hitting the top where it has nowhere to go, so it's like spraying out, and it went all over my front, and I lifted my hand up, and it just kind of spilled over the bottle then at that point. And so me and Joe, I was laughing.
I was
heavily.
pretending not to know you.
Yeah, I just thought the best way to cure something this disastrous is just to laugh. And so I'm laughing. I slam my head into the front of the chair because, hey, when you're embarrassed, you better play it off as you just pissed yourself with laughter. So from then behind me, I sort of hear this noises. And so I sort of look behind me, and there's this old guy. And his wife. Well, no, I don't know how old he was. Probably
they were
60s, 70s, yeah. And he's next to his wife, and he's sort of looking at his arm. And I realised the spray has just gone right up his arm, and so I just apologised profusely.
His wife found it hilarious.
Yeah, his wife was being really sort of overzealously like, "Oh, don't worry about it. No, it's all right."
Trying to hold back her own
laughter,
laughter.
which I thought was a bit odd at the time. So I turned back around after making my apologies, and Joe turned to me and she went, "The guy was asleep." So the poor guy had woken up to just having soda spraying up his arm. And, yeah, that was rather embarrassing, as we then had to sit there for another couple of hours.
And then they got the same connecting train as us.
And we stood in exactly the same place because they had luggage. So they went to the bike bit, and we went to the bike bit. And
I love the way the pea tossle is referred to as the bike bit in colloquial terms.
The what?
The pea tossle.
What's that?
Pantograph trailer open standard lavatory.
I wish I'd never asked. There we go, folks. There's some
it doesn't have a pantograph on it.
Extra knowledge for you. Oh, that's still full of water. God damn it. Right, hang on.
That should have been a new intro.
Yeah.
Oh, it's still full of water. That's what she said.
Cheese.
That's what cheese said. I fucking love cheese. Tallie has now left the room. He has pierced the soundproofness.
I need a wee. Shout out to Fothergill.
There was a criminal person on the train over here. Like,
I need a drink.
Not a. Well, I presume not. He had like one of those teardrop tattoos.
That instantly makes them a criminal.
Yes, because they're done to signify prison gangs.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that. there's some nice audio of me having a little drink here. Hang on, let me do some ASMR stuff here. Let me just have a little sippy.
Have a little sippy.
Oh dear. There you go, for all of you that like ASMR.
One of my... I'll call her my friend. Made the most hilarious comment the other day. And it will make absolutely no sense out of context.
Okay.
So I won't say it here. But I was...
What?
So
are you leaving it? No, you're not. Okay.
I am leaving it.
So
we will leave it.
Yeah.
We have left it. Enjoy the next section.
Yeah. Next section.
I don't know which way order I'll put them in.
Oh, no.
I'm recording again.
Alrighty, so you
Why
join
did
us.
you make me record here? Where are we?
So you join us on location. Again, we're filming with a phone, so if the audio is a bit shit, then you know why. So we're on location. We're currently sat in a boat, a little rowing boat, moored just by, what's the bridge?
Tunbridge, River Tunbridge Medway Rail Bridge.
Yeah, so there's a bridge
it's
outside.
just outside Tunbridge that goes across the River Medway, and it has trains going across it.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, so we're sat on the bridge, not on the bridge. In a
Oh yeah,
boat.
we better move. There's a train coming, Tallie.
No, we're sat in a boat.
Next to the bridge.
Next to the bridge, yes. Joe's recording, and I'm sure if you watch Joe's other videos on his YouTube channel, I'm giving a shameless plug here, but then you'll see some of the video of us sat here with the bridge, not with the bridge. The thing he couldn't join us today.
Mike could not join us. Yes, I was just gonna.
Yeah, he's afraid of boats and water. See him
And
trying to
bridges.
drink. And bridges, yeah.
And trains.
And trains. Bad experience when he was a child. I think one made him jump.
Train crashed off a bridge into a river.
And he was
Onto a
inside.
he was on a boat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just rock the boat.
Rock the boat.
Rock the boat.
Baby, rock the boat.
What the fuck are we doing?
Yes. So anyway, Joe. Right. So the whole point of this little talk here is you've got dragonfly on your back.
All right, get on with it.
Yeah. So to discuss your love of trains and what you find so appealing in them. So would you like to elaborate on why you like trains so much?
Because they're cool. No, they're just more interesting than road vehicles. Everyone gets a road vehicle, but the railway network is a completely different world. You say, Joe, but planes are a completely different world as well. I know, but security's a pain, and I like planes as well. So yes, that's my answer. They're a unique world and a wonderful form of transport.
See, as much as I love trains, and planes for that matter, I much prefer road vehicles. But yeah,
Such a basic boy.
I'm a basic bitch, darling.
No, you're a basic boy.
Yes.
You're not sitting
basic
there
bitch.
rolling cigarettes with your designer handbag, watch, and
Is it
shoes.
SK or something like that? And weird bag.
Oh, Michael
had
Kors.
one.
Michael Kors.
That was it. Yeah. And Livia, I think, had one as well. Actually.
I think everyone has one.
Yeah. And puffer.
Oh, the puffer
coat.
jackets, yeah.
Even in the warm, sunny climes of England at the moment, somebody is bound to be wearing one. And they're
Oh, did I ever tell you the story? I'm aware of who the local roadmen are in my area.
Yes.
And train.
So, Joe's just recording a train.
Yeah. So I'm aware of the local roadmen in my area.
That was the what train?
It was a Southeastern 375. I think it said it was a Charing Cross to Ramsgate and Ramsgate and Ramsgate service.
Okay.
Splits at Ashford. One bit goes via Dover and one bit goes via Canterbury.
I see. Yeah, you're aware of the local roadmen.
And I was passing an underpass in my area, and there were these roadmen in there. So I thought, oh, roadmen. Oh well, I'll just continue with my life. And they, I don't know what they were up to. Probably rolling some form of non-conventional cigarette, from what I could see. And they saw me coming, and they looked at me, and then just walked out the other exit. And I was on my bike, so I caught them up. And when I got closer, they just started running away.
Really?
Mm.
They obviously thought you were very police-liking.
No, it's because I was hard with my big muscles.
Yeah. What else? What else were we going to talk about today? I
Nothing.
don't get the roadman sort of tradition.
Tradition?
Well, what would you
It
call
started
it?
15 years ago.
What would you call it? Fashion, style? I mean...
Way of life?
Yeah, way of life.
Why don't you get roadmen, Tallie?
Well,
if you're a roadman listening to this podcast, do write in about your experiences. Or email in.
Yeah. I mean, back in the 80s and whatnot, there were a lot of like different people. You could portray yourself as someone different. So I admire them in the sense that they are showing difference from the normal stereotype of trying to be fashionable and trying to fit in, but at the same time, it's sort of they're showing a difference, but in a sort of step back way. If you see what I mean. Most of them seem decent enough, and most of them are quite cool, but it's just an odd fashion, really.
What I guess group do you associate most with?
I don't really know. I sort of don't really have a group. Well, now I do, because obviously everyone who I knew has from secondary school.
No, like the road. Like,
I was just
right,
explaining.
carry on.
Yeah. Because I knew everyone from secondary school. Basically, everyone lived in Eastbourne. But now going back to college in Bexhill.
Are you in a Bexhill gang, Tallie?
Yeah, it's called the OAPs. If you know, you know. Yeah. No,
I think everyone knows.
Yeah, but
if you don't, then
fuck you.
Yeah.
No.
We'll explain next episode.
Yeah, but
shit.
having thus far been in Eastbourne for 5 years of my life, going back to Bexhill, where there's a lot of my primary school friends and secondary school friends mixed in, but there's still not as many as there were. I don't really have a group now. I just sort of flutter. But I've never really had a group. I sort of just try to make friends with everyone, and I sort of, be everyone, which is pretty bad because it gets tiresome and annoying, but it's also kind of fun because you get experiences with different people and you make net friends with lots of people, so therefore you kind of know a lot of people. What about you? What do you class yourself as?
I think I have friends. No, I don't know. I always like the sort of more alternative style of music, but I wouldn't like class myself as like an emo or anything like that. I never had like black hair or black fingernails, or like I think the furthest I went was black socks, and then recently black jeans.
Train. I hasten to add that the small beep you hear just before the train is Joe pulling out his camera and filming, which quite entertaining, the rush that he's in.
Gives me an adrenaline buzz. Buzz. What's that? That was the Ramsgate one.
Okay.
The
This
one
episode's
before-
sort of an interesting episode in the sense that we had so much to talk about yesterday when we were filming the synopsis of Her, but
Now we have literally nothing to talk about.
you can just listen to the sounds of nature as I almost fall in, no doubt. Right, that's enough nature.
There's literally not.
So, what's...
There's a lot of nature here, but nothing particularly sounding.
No,
That was the Ramsgate one.
I see. What I was going to suggest last episode is if there's anything you want us to specifically talk about, you can message me on my Instagram.
It would help if you actually plugged the podcast on your...
Yeah, I'm
thing.
gonna.
Alright, go on then.
Jeff, calm down. Yeah, you can message me on my Instagram, which is Taliesinborn, all one word, TALIESINBOURNE.
And he'll be sure to read your suggestions and give you no credit for them.
Yeah, pretty much. No doubt.
I think you need to move closer.
Oh shit, yes.
You're just getting further and further away. You're going to be on land by this time.
Yeah, so as I say, message me on my Instagram, which no doubt I will plug every single episode. And we will...
no doubt I'll edit out every single episode because Instagram is annoying.
and,
oh, right, speaking of social media, as you know, I'm quite prolific on the old Snapchat.
Prolific in inverted commas.
Well,
You
compared
can't
to
beat
everything
me.
else.
Can't beat me with my 300-second long fucking... train, Joe. That was a slightly more panicked Joe as his lens cap was on and he was completely unprepared to...
However, it was... that's another thing. We used to keep seeing a lot of 465, 466 combos on the Charing Cross to Tunbridge Wells services. The last two have gone past have both been 375s.
Really?
Hmm.
Okay, that
So,
means very little for me,
375s.
I'm afraid, Joe.
Oh well.
Yeah. But if you know in the listener base, if you know about these things, then Joe's your man.
I bet Parsia does. Just called out Parsia.
If you want to see Parsia and Hersa, who are these mythical beasts,
They are mythical beasts.
yeah, of one sort or another, then...
Stop messing with
I'm
my...
trying to fucking get to the tree, boy.
Boy? Yeah, Ursa and Parsia.
Yeah, if you wanna hear them on the podcast, which I mean, it really needs to be a visual thing. There's some canoes down there because they are equally as funny when they're visual. In fact, they're probably more funny because most of the time they're silent and then they just do this weird little head.
Oh no! Last time I phoned them when they missed the train, and so we just went to Brighton.
Yeah.
And I was on the phone to Hersa, and they just kept changing, and you just hear, "No, Hersa, it was your fault," and then it'd be like, "No, Parsia, you said go that way, so you missed the train." Bearing in mind, they got lost coming from their house to the train station.
How the fuck?
Which is a distance of about a mile and a half.
Nearly fell in. Yeah, no, I swear they do that most days anyway. That does look fun, canoeing.
That's kayaking.
Sorry. So I think we'll end this episode here. This will
Right,
probably be...
going back to my Snapchat story.
Yeah.
Yes. Right. So I recently updated it, and so before there was that big hoo-ha about all the stories thing, which I didn't care that much about because fuck stories. But I keep getting banners for people in Quick Add, and I don't like adding people on Snapchat. If you have me on Snapchat, then I do like you. But I don't just add anyone. Like I don't add acquaintances.
Yeah,
on Snapchat.
my Snapchat is much more private than my Instagram. I get what you mean.
Yeah. So I don't really care to add someone I may or may not barely know. So yeah. So I may not use Snapchat anymore.
Really? Okay. No, Snapchat's my main go-to app.
I'll just be prolific on Tinder and Bumble because, you know...
Grindr.
No, I'm all about getting those girls.
Yeah.
Just exchanging pleasantries with a kayaker passing us by.
Yeah. I see who's doing the most work in that situation. Yeah, sure, go ahead. We'll move out your way if you want. If I can...
Are we going to spin around?
Do that.
Right.
Yes, that was a good little bit of podcast. Can't edit that bit out. That bit's going to be a classic. No,
Right, bye then.
Huh? Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Well, no doubt we'll continue recording some parts, but this might be the last part. This might be the second to last part. So goodbye.
Probably be the first part. So recently we watched the film Her.
Yeah.
Do you want to just give a brief explanation of what the film's about?
Basically, it's set in the near future, and this guy, he writes letters. Well, whether he writes them, whether he voices them, it's sort of up for debate. But anyway, yeah, he does that, and he's passing through. Bear in mind, there's going to be sort of major spoilers in this, so if you want to watch it, then watch it and then listen to this podcast, because it'll be worth doing that, because me explaining it is a bit shit, to be honest, compared to watching it and experiencing it and doing it for yourself. You got to keep that bit. Anyway, where was it? Oh yeah, and he's wandering through this place, and he sees this advert for an operating system, basically an AI, and so he gets it, a bit of a spur of the moment, and ends up him and the operating system falling in love. Operating system is obviously played by Scarlett Johansson. Chris Pratt is in it. Not something I would have expected him to be in, but hey, he's in it. And then it all sort of goes a bit awry towards the end, and there's some revelations, such as he thought that each operating system was one for each person, whereas instead there's a male and there's a female operating system. Actually, I think there's several operating systems, isn't there? It just depends on who you pick.
Several, yeah, but each operating system is
serves several people.
Thousands of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as it turns out, he's not the only one she's in love with per se. She's in love with like 641 or something like that. Other people.
And she's having like 1,000 conversations at the same time.
Yeah, she's pretty impressive. And in the end, it's decided that they're just going to turn it off. And him and one of the other people that she just broke up with her husband, I think.
Yeah.
And they went out apparently back in college for a second. They say. For those who didn't see the quotation marks, who's everyone, there were quotation marks there. It's not, they literally didn't just go, I'll go out with you, you're dumped, you know. But yeah, so then, and the sort of film, at the end of the film is cutaway shot of them two sat on a rooftop together, so, you know, it's brought people together. I think that pretty much concludes a very brief, very bad synopsis of the film.
Yeah, that was quite brief.
Yeah, at least it was to the point.
Yeah, well, yeah, you don't want a massive 40-minute ramble about every intricacy. So let's start with the verdict. So, thumbs up or thumbs down?
It's not a film that I'd usually watch.
That's why I made you watch it.
Yeah. I liked it in the sense that it was different to all other films where they had an operating system / AI. And I liked it because it was clever and it was sort of quite a nice, refreshing film. It was not very consumer, or whatever the fucking word is. It's not built to be watched by many people. It's basically an indie film, a quite high budget indie film.
It did win a lot of awards.
Yeah, I've never heard of it though.
Have you not?
No.
I would.
That's just what I got from it. I mean, it may not be an indie film, but hey, if it's got Chris Pratt and Scarlett Johansson in it, it must be high budget. But anyway, and fairly mainstream. Mainstream, that's the word I was looking for. But there were parts in it that sort of were a bit slow, and there didn't seem to be much action, in the sense that usually films and books follow the same thing, where it's, I can't remember this in English, it kind of like,
well, you have the build up,
yeah,
and then you have the climax, and then you have the
come down.
Denouement.
Know what it is?
Denouement. That's the.
Oh, okay. Well,
where you can't, like the declining action. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. And then it kind of peters out. But this
Grade
one
7
basically,
GCSE English right here.
this film basically, to me, it was just kind of one big. Wasn't even one big build up really. It was kind of one long sort of. Nothing much happened, but it's more of a film that makes you think about things and come away thinking. Cause, I mean, I was thinking about it most of the night, so yeah, it depends. Depends what you're looking for in a film, really. But what about you?
Well, thumbs up or thumbs down then?
Oh shit! Thumbs in the middle. Is that allowed?
Yeah, you can add a third option to this binary system.
Thumbs in the middle.
I like the film. I think it's I like the idea. The general topic. I think it's very intriguing, and it's done with a lot of sort of. It's done with a lot of care, and they clearly care a lot about the film, and there's just little things throughout it that it make you go, oh. They're not particularly funny. They're just moments.
Yeah, there were several bits that they could have. I know it wasn't meant to be a humorous film, but they could have added little bits of humour in, but they sort of neglected to, which is a bit of a shame because I think that clever humour is quite good.
I picked out that one of the key bits for me is that the main character, I can't actually remember his name. Theo.
That's right.
That's it.
That's how memorable it was.
Yeah, he.
Sorry, to nick that away from me.
Yeah, he is very comfortable with this AI straight away, and that's weird but interesting about why he's so comfortable with it, and from the an AI perspective, she wants to be almost in the beginning. She wants to be physical, like a physical being. However, that sort of peters out towards the end, and she enjoys being a sort of virtual being. And again, that's just very interesting, different perspectives and the way they're mixed and they can get on. But you have to remember that the operating system is designed so that they do get on, because you don't want them to be shouting at each other. But the bit I find weird is that how far this relationship goes, because she is basically supposed to just be checking his email and his calendar and that sort of thing like a virtual assistant. And yeah, his emails must, that just seems a bit weird because, I don't know, I guess people do have affairs with their secretaries and that sort of thing. Sort of the cliche thing.
I kind of like the aspect that it was, because to us that's such a weird concept that you date a
operating system.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at the Channel 4 series Humans, if you had any feelings for a robot, it was great taboo. Whereas in this, I liked it because people just went, nah, and there wasn't any...
Lots of people were dating their robots, and they were open to... there was a scene where they went on a double date with one of his colleagues from work, so Theo and Samantha, the operating system, and this couple from work.
Chris Pratt. Oh. Right. Sorry. Yeah, when he first told Chris Pratt, I can't fucking remember his name. But anyway, when he first told him, he was like, "Oh, my girlfriend's a OS." He sort of told it sort of apprehensively.
And then he goes, "My girlfriend's a lawyer."
Yeah.
And
it was nice. It was because usually I was sort of thinking, is the AI gonna take over? Is the AI gonna be evil? But no, it was just a bodiless Scarlett Johansson, which I'm not materialistic or anything, but it's kind of a bad deal if you're asking me. Insert Donald Trump going, "This is the worst trade deal I've ever done." I don't know fucking what the little shrimp said. Can't remember his name. I can't remember his name, just said Donald Trump, and then called him a shrimp in the same sentence. But yeah, no, it was. I've lost the plot multiple times. I am now absolutely.
It's made me lose the plot. The Samantha being played by Scarlett Johansson, because she's so common, you can't help but sort of feel. I mean, of course he'd fall in love with his operating system. It's Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think that. What? Oh, sorry, ignore me.
Okay. We'll do that.
Oh, that's why. Sorry. I just figured it.
Tallie being distracted here.
There we go.
There was a section in it where he gets set up on a date, like with an actual human in towards the beginning of the film.
Right in the beginning.
Yeah, it was right at the beginning. Yeah, this isn't chronological order at all.
No.
And the way that's done, he seems very awkward and seems to have. We should mention that the backdrop to the film is he is going through a divorce
with someone who he loved quite deeply. There's quite often flashbacks.
Yeah, he flashbacks
of him and
his ex-wife.
No, I can't remember her name, but yeah.
There's flashbacks to him and his ex-wife, and so he clearly has been in relationships before, and that might be why he's more apprehensive to get back on the dating scene, which again makes it all the more interesting how he's infatuated with this operating system almost instantaneously.
I mean, they fucking have phone sex, essentially. That's something, don't watch this either with your parents if you don't like the sex noises, or out loud in a public place, because that would be awkward. Because you hear Scarlett Johansson simulating an orgasm. Jesus Christ, I sound inhuman saying that, but she's having sex, basically. She's imagining it. She's a fucking robot. Yeah.
She's not a robot. She's an operating system.
Yeah, there's several times actually that there's.
And there's that bit where they get that random woman.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And she puts like a
camera and a earpiece in.
An earpiece, so it sounds like the operating system's voice, but this woman sort of gives it a physical thing. And I feel for Theo, because he freaks out at that because he finds
fair
it like
point.
having.
You've got like this voice, and you've got therefore you imagine like talking about Scarlett Johansson. I imagine Scarlett Johansson, but if it was like I don't know your mum's uncle, oh Jesus Christ, no, your mum's aunt. There we go. And I'd never seen your mum's aunt, and just heard her voice. Then obviously you'd think to yourself. I mean, no, it would be applicable actually with your mum's uncle because. On a sexual basis, but you'd also have just hearing their voice. You'd know what they look like in your mind. Yeah, it's like reading a book.
You can picture the characters.
Yeah, like my idea of Mortal Engines, the book Mortal Engines, one of my favourite book series of Hester, is completely different to what the new film coming out. Her character, her actor that plays her, is, and it just. Then if you're dumped in a situation where you've got the voice of that person in your ear with all those memories or the knowledge of what they look like in your mind, but right in front of you stood is this woman who looks nothing like that, you would get freaked out. And I think to a point it's sort of the woman should have expected it. The random woman should have expected it, but hey ho. Right, this is another point, right?
Alright, go on.
The fucking Theo, pretty much all the way through the film, he's sleeping in a room with massive windows, like 8 foot by 8 foot. No curtains across them. Who sleeps with that? As soon as the sun comes up, you're going to wake up. I don't know about you, but I rely on the sun to wake me up in the morning as well as an alarm.
You wake up like 5 hours after the sun rises.
Yeah, because I had my
there's fucking chickens outside, and you're like, no, I'm going to wake up at 10.
Well, no, it was 9, but Yeah, no, but the curtains were shut, so therefore I won't wake up. Whereas if they were open, I'd wake up as soon as my alarm went off, basically. Which, if it had been earlier, it would have been earlier. But anyway, no, he sleeps with the windows uncovered.
There were a couple of minor details I would like to point out.
Okay.
And the first is that outside his window, that you can't get over that he sleeps with his curtains open. There's this cityscape. So he's obviously in the centre of quite a major city. How does he afford that? No one can afford it.
I was going to say,
yeah.
His divorce lawyer, that's supposedly like really expensive.
Yeah, he writes letters. He can't get paid that much.
And literally at the very beginning, he's pictured with his wife / ex-wife in what appears to be a small condo with a tiny little balcony that you climb out your window to. And so how's he suddenly then gone from that to being able to afford...
Yeah, like a massive city centre
And that
apartment.
game that he plays, that can't be cheap with all the extra little bits, projectors all around his house, basically. Yeah. All around his room.
It just doesn't sit right.
No.
Also, there's in one of the scenes he's walking along, and I guess it's like an art installation, but there's this 747 on its nose, and that's just...
I didn't see that.
Did you not see it? It's
No.
so
I
weird.
did like
It was
the
like it's in there
imagery.
for like 2 seconds. It's
I didn't see
a really random piece of art.
I did like the imagery. It reminded me very much of Coldplay's song Up and Up, the music video to that. It's sort of slightly dystopian, quite aesthetically pleasing. I wouldn't mind having a mural of the cityscape because it was sort of now but sort of the future. There was a really good visual.
The smog was very well done.
There was a really good visual. I think it was just sort of after he'd been upset. He was upset, and he sat in front of this big screen, obviously another art installation. And on the screen, this owl comes down, just about to pick up a mouse, basically. But where the mouse is, it's him. So it looks like the owl is just about to grab him. And it was sort of out of place in sort of the movie, but at the same time, it was really good, like a really good piece of visual art, very clever. Some of the shots in the movie were
random.
Yeah, I mean, sure, you can't have somebody like the camera just focusing on his eyes or his face for a 3-minute talk into camera, but at the same time, at one point he's talking, and they cut to this woman walking away down like an alleyway, and I can remember thinking, is that woman of any importance? Why is she in it all of a sudden?
She isn't. It's just an extra. It's really
just confused me. And if you're like me, who's easily confused, then there we go.
Confused you me telling you what train I was on coming here. Yeah. There's going back to the date he had at the beginning. He does whether it's as a result of his divorce, but he does seem to have a sort of. It strikes me as he has a sort of fear of commitment. Like at the beginning of the date, he's pretending to be...
Shit, sorry.
He's pretending to be... He's pretending to be interested. No, he is pretending to be interested.
Yeah.
They're eating Asian fusion food, I think. And she's like, oh, do you like Asian fusion? He's like, yeah, I love it. It's my favourite. And, he's like... And he clearly doesn't.
Yeah. Her reaction was a little bit odd.
But I don't know. Let me finish.
Sorry.
But then at the end, they're like, she basically says that he doesn't want him to just use her for sex, and he's like, oh, that's what I want, and then so they don't go on a second date. And so it's just struck me that he sort of probably had a fear of commitment, yet as soon as the OS comes in, he's like, basically just hands his heart on a plate to her. And later on, when they're saying about when the OS is saying how she's in love with like 641 other people, whatever it is, then he sort of almost seems to class that as cheating, and it's quite funny. Like,
I wouldn't. For me,
Not fair.
he wasn't. He didn't class it as cheating. He just was a bit. He'd put so much into the relationship. He'd built so much on this new fabulous relationship to then be told that he's sharing the woman. I don't think he thought necessarily it was cheating. Because he went back to her knowing this. He went back and was sort of, he went back and was the boyfriend he was before, but I think it was more that he needed the knowledge, if you know what I mean.
yeah. Well, I don't see why he would be surprised by that, because she's a very high-end operating
I have to admit,
system.
I thought...
The number of processes she can do, it's like she explains at the end by saying about how she's like reading he is like a book, and she's sort of reading his book, but because he's a slow dumb human and she's a operating system, she's stuck in the spaces between the words, and she can't carry on with the book because it's being written so slowly, and she's stuck in the white space.
I have to admit, it did take me by surprise that I would feel a bit shortchanged if I bought the operating system and found out that each individual little book thing was not my own, and that it was just one big thing. I'd feel a bit shortchanged. So I was taken by surprise that she was essentially being shared.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wasn't.
I have to admit, there were simple simple things, such as when does he charge it? Because overnight he uses it a lot. So when's he charging?
And he uses her. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
There we go. Asking the real questions.
He uses her his phone, which it doesn't appear on charge. No, it's on his.
No, but
the camera on his phone. Yeah.
Is that not part of the operating system, that you get that when you buy the operating system?
Yeah, the bit with the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, he uses that overnight, and she watches him sleep. But fair enough.
Yeah. Another thing, because she makes music, because there's no pictures of them together, she says, she makes the music instead. I think that was a very clever bit on the part of the creators, directors, because to me certain music makes different images come into my mind.
Yeah, music's a very powerful tool.
Yeah, so I liked how they used that to their benefit in the movie, basically. Film, whatever you want to call it.
There is this. I think this is the last bit I want to talk about. But there is a bit where she goes and updates, and so she's away. She can't talk to him for a bit while she updates, and he's like freaked out. He's like, "Oh, where's she gone? Oh, my life is crashing in. My operating system's left," because he's so emotionally invested in her, and she goes, when she comes back, she goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, I did send you an email, but remember, he's got the operating system to act as like a personal assistant. So he's only going to get the email if she reads it to him. So how's he supposed to read the email? She is effectively his email."
Yeah, that was a bit of a
blunder on her part. Yeah. Her operating systems, you just can't get them these days.
Yeah. That was another thing. The train, right?
How much space do they need on that train?
But more importantly, what height are they? Basically flying the plane.
Yeah, it's like
Jesus Christ, flying the train at. Jeez, that's not confusing. Because there are some points that it's going sort of halfway up a building, basically, and I've never known a metro that, because they don't give any. If they just had one little shot to show that the train either hovered or it was on some kind of maglev or something, thus needing some means of support.
You get the monorails.
Yeah, but they're not that high. They're
This does seem
tops three floors high, whereas that was a good 7 or 8.
Mm.
Yeah, I liked how it was in the future, but they still had a lot of similar things.
Yeah, it's the near future rather than...
Yeah, the lift actually was really cool. If I ever have a place with a lift, I want that.
What with the simulated trees?
Yeah, as the lift went up, they either had some kind of projection or it was on a screen. But anyway, it was very cleverly done so that when they were going up or down, the projection of the trees went up or down. And it was just a simple, like, a light causing shadows going up and down, which I thought was really quite cool. And if that's what our future looks like, then hey, that would be nice. But sadly, it's not. Because to do something of that scale, like the city, you'd have to knock down most of the rest of the city or build an entirely new city. But yeah, overall, the film was alright.
Glad you watched it.
Yeah, I am.
Would you say, if you were not him, but if you lived in that time,
Yeah.
would you consider dating an operating system?
No, personally, ladies, I'm single now. No,
He is.
yeah, I am actually. But anyway, no, I not just on a sexual level, but just on a, you can't you can't feel the satisfaction of taking someone out and treating them with an operating system, because you can't take. It would be a very one-sided meal out at a restaurant. You'd be the only one eating, and that, to me, that's just not a very good relationship. So I personally wouldn't ever consider dating a operating system. Would you?
No.
Good.
And I'm guessing, by this point, they'll just, steal sperm off people and stick them in random eggs to reproduce. But there's still a...
Sorry.
There's still a going to be a need, if the human race is to survive, for some form of reproduction. And, people like sex. Just have it sexually. I mean, it's probably, the world's going to be massively overpopulated at that point. We're all going to die in some fiery inferno. But, providing, I don't know, that, a meteor comes and wipes out half the planet and, there's a need to reproduce to maintain a stable population, then you're going to need to date someone or at least have sex with someone of the opposite sex, and you can't have that if you're dating an operating system. You can't even use IVF or anything like that. You're just going to be, you're going to die eventually.
Just spunk in a tube, basically. There'd be no egg. Unless it's like some robot egg, in which case you've created a cyborg.
Yeah, for the human race to survive, reproduction does need to occur. And I don't see how that can happen with a robot.
No, well, again, it's very much a case. I assume you've watched Channel 4's Humans.
I haven't. No.
Well, see, I haven't watched the latest series, so I mean, I can't say what's
Wait,
happening,
is that the one where in the advert they go, "Who here would sell their hair as a life-destroying drug for others to smoke?"
Don't think so.
Oh.
No, it's the one where they've got the blue eyes.
Oh yeah.
And some of them have consciousness, but most of the robots are helpful. Like, they just literally help the families that they're given to, and then 4 or 5 who were made by the creators, the creator of all the robots. They are like his children. One of them is his child who's got robotic parts, and that your thought of that they have essentially now we have sex robots, don't we? Or there are concepts for. So even if in the case of her, if they were able to make a robot that would be like a human in looks and everything, and feel even, but that just, to me, that's kind of creepy, and thus I couldn't have that around my home. acting basically as if it was my partner, girlfriend. It just wouldn't fit right with me.
I do find it interesting how the film does. It doesn't. It's not, oh, the robots are bad, the humans are good. Let's get Will Smith or someone to shoot them all.
Yeah.
It does show humans versus AI differently. By one not having robots, it's an operating system. It's not a physical entity.
It's not called AI as well, which is quite nice, because AI, artificial intelligence.
Yeah, it's referred to as an operating system. So
quite negative, whereas operating system is kind of
reminiscing memories of Windows XP come back.
Dun 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 dun. Hang on, that's Danon. Danon.
Yeah. So, Her. That was a film we watched.
Yeah. This was filmed on. Not filmed. Audibly.
Recorded.
Thank you. You got to keep audibly. That's going to go on a t-shirt someday.
Audibly.
Yeah, it was recorded on a phone, so the quality might be a bit shit. In which case, we apologise.
And there's absolutely nothing we'll do about it.
No, we'll eat some sausage rolls and look at you while you get red in the face and slam your fists on the table.
Bye.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.